I mean, seriously, what is going on in Houston? The Rockets look like serious contenders in the NBA, and I'm not saying that lightly. They just beat the Oklahoma City Thunder by 3 points. Now, yes, the Thunder don't have Chet, but man, do the Rockets look like actually a contender in the Western Conference. They have so many elite players. They are probably the deepest team in the entire NBA of just very good role players and elite all-stars as well, with guys like Jalen Green and Sengun. But to talk about this massive win over the Thunder, we can take a look at the stats here. And yeah, like I said, a 3-point win, not a blowout win by any means, but that now puts them to a record of 15-6, which is only one game worse than the Oklahoma City Thunder. That is crazy. We take a look at the box score here in this game against the Thunder. The first thing that comes to mind is Fred VanVleet, 38 points on very good efficiency, over 50% from the three, 10 of 19 from the field. He just had an electric game offensively. You look at Sengun, 20 points, 9 assists, 14 rebounds. He was snagging on the glass, and so was Jabari Smith Jr. They just have so many elite rebounders, so many elite scorers. They are probably one of the more versatile scoring teams in the entire NBA. So many guys that can get you buckets at any given moment. Jabari Smith Jr. had 15 points. Jalen Brooks had 16. Like I said, Sengun chipped in with 20, and you had Jalen Green, who's on some nights your best player, had a pretty rough game. Didn't shoot the ball that often, but he only had 9 points. He was 2 of 6 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3. So a very, very good win for the Rockets, and they have just in general been playing amazing over the past couple weeks. Like if we go take a look at the Rockets schedule and we just see how many wins they've been racking up, I mean, you can see right here, a 3-point win against Oklahoma, obviously a massive, massive win. I mean, the OKC Thunder are probably still one of the favorites to win the NBA championship. They beat Philadelphia, the 76ers, who haven't looked good this year. They're not very good. So that was just a normal win for them. But then they beat Minnesota in overtime, which is a really good win for them. Minnesota is still one of the better teams in the West. They do lose to Portland, and that was kind of a fluke loss because they've been beating a lot of good teams and beating a lot of the bad teams, because they did blow up Portland the game before. They beat the Pacers by 17 points. They do lose by 1 to the Bucks in a very, very close game that honestly could have gone either way. So if you take away that loss there, they would have won like almost 10 games in a row from starting from the Pistons. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's say they won this 6, 7, 8, and then they lose to Portland. Like they have won so many of their last 10 games. And this is really a Rockets team that I know they're young. I know they don't have a lot of veteran experience besides like Fred VanVleet, who did obviously win an NBA championship with the Toronto Raptors. And yes, they don't have a lot of experience in general, but this is a team that seriously in this Western Conference, which is very deep, like the West is so deep that there's so many elite teams. They seriously look like one of them. I mean, you look at the standings right now, they are 1 game or 0.5 games back from the Thunder. They're ahead of the Grizzlies, the Warriors, the Mavs, the Nuggets, right? The Lakers, the Suns, all of these amazing teams in the West that people have as title contenders and teams that could potentially win the championship. I know it's the regular season, but the Rockets look amazing, man. Like I am seriously starting to put the Rockets in title contenders. Like if we look at the Rockets rotation, like if we look at their roster, they have so many good players. Like Steven Adams, I don't think he even plays for them, and I feel like he's still a solid backup big. But they got Dylan Brooks. We know he's a really good 3-and-D wing. He gives them that energy on the defensive end, which is very valuable and something that helps this Rockets team a lot. They got Tari Easton, probably one of the more underrated wings forwards in the entire NBA. Like I think he's playing amazing this year. And another thing to keep track of is just look how young this team is as well. But we're probably looking at one of the best young cores in the entire NBA, sort of what that OKC Thunder looked like a couple years ago. And this team is overperforming. Like their schedule, like they're way ahead of schedule. I don't think anybody expected this from the Houston Rockets. But then we also got Jalen Green. I mean, we know he's an all-star caliber player, just an elite red-hot scorer that can really score at any level. I mean, at the start of the season, he was shooting over 40% from 3. Even a guy like Jock Landale, I think, is one of the better backup centers in the entire NBA and doesn't get talked about very often, but I like him as a backup piece for this Rockets team. Sengun is developing into one of the best centers in the NBA, and is like a mini version of Nikola Jokic. Reed Shepherd really doesn't even play that often, but he was the third pick in the recent draft. And I think he's an electric scorer and probably going to be one of the better shooters in the NBA once he gets more play time and more minutes. But that's the thing, is this Rockets team is so deep that he really isn't even getting that many minutes and that much opportunity to showcase his skills. Jabari Smith Jr., I think, is a really good power forward. Amen Thompson is playing amazing. He's so good defensively, but also is developing that offensive game very nicely compared to last year. I mean, you look at Fred VanVleet, he just had 38 points against one of the best defenses in the entire NBA. They have guys like Cason Wallace, J-Dub, Shea, all those elite level guard defenders. They didn't have Caruso in that game, which definitely hurt them a lot, and no Chet, but still had to go up against some really good defenders and drop 38 on their heads. You got Cam Whitmore. He's another really good forward, very similar to Tari Eason in my opinion. I mean, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And if you want to count like a Steven Adams or a Jayshawn Tate, you could be looking at, or an Aaron Holiday. Like, there's at least 10 very solid role players and a couple like all-star caliber players with Jalen Green and Sengun, and then just so many amazing supporting casts. They have so many wings that are just elite offensively, elite defensively. They're so versatile. They're young, they run, they play hard. And this is a team that I am very shocked to see 15-6, but really not honestly that surprised because of how deep this team is. And if they continue this play up and they stay as a top 2 or 3 seed in the West, I mean, yes, they don't have that playoff experience, and they get some very valuable experience. I think that's something that's going to be super valuable for this Houston Rockets team, because are they actual serious title contenders? Probably not. But I mean, with the way they're playing, they just beat OKC, they beat Minnesota, they beaten some pretty good teams, and a very close game against the Bucks where they lost by 1. This is actually starting to look like a team that could be in serious title contention. And I honestly would not be that shocked. I mean, you have Sengun playing at an all-star level. You have Jalen Green still playing red hot. And this is a team where a lot of these teams in the West are starting to drop games. Like the Warriors are dropping games. The Lakers are dropping tons of games. Even the Suns aren't winning that much. The Kings and the Timberwolves are losing a ton. If they can get home court advantage, if they can be in a good seed, for the playoffs, if they can finish as the 2 or the 3 seed and have home court advantage for pretty much the entire playoffs, I don't know. I really think this Rockets team is super fun to watch. They're very young. They play hard. They run fast. Their offense is super dynamic. They have so many good young players. And I'm very excited for this Rockets future. I'm a big fan of Jalen Green, Sengun, and I really like Ime Udoka as well as a coach. I think they're well coached. I mean, that's a huge win over OKC. So I'm very excited to see what the Rockets have in store for the rest of this season. And I am really, really high on this Houston Rockets team. But let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think about the Rockets? Do you think they're serious title contenders or just going to mainly be a regular season team? But hopefully you guys did enjoy the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.